I just don't know how to be a man. And I'm like, man, I commend you for saying that out loud. And I respect that because that takes courage.
Yeah, I need a bag, bruh. Send it through quickly. I'm making his dog like I'm in the big leagues. Yeah, I told him I'ma hit it out of stands. I deserve another 100 bands.
Welcome to the Married Game Podcast. We are the voice you trust when it comes to lust, and we are who you hire when we lack desire. And today we've got a very special guest in the house, Bryce Kimball. What's up, bro?
What's up?
These people don't understand all of our fucking history and the shit that we've been through with the building of Married Game. And so we're going to shine a little spotlight on that today. I'm excited about that. And then talk about what we're doing next and why we're doing what we're doing next. And you're a unique individual to have on this show for a couple of reasons. Number one, I met you in a mastermind, and you literally just kind of saw what Jesse and I, who we were, and you're like, I want some of that in my life. And that's why you signed up. All right? That's at least the story Jesse tells. And I believe it's probably true. Is that true?
Yeah, very much.
Very close to truth. Okay, cool.
There's a lot of truth in there.
There's a lot of truth there. Okay, cool. And then you came through the program, and you literally live the program to a T. You live you're a 5-dial guy. So much so that when we released the documentary, you and your wife are one of the, 4 or 5 couples that were in there talking about your experience. And your wife has some fucking great lines in there, dude. Like, what are you doing hiring this guy to talk about sex? And then the next line is, but I like it.
I watched that this morning.
So it was really brilliant. And you're a part of the Ascend Brotherhood, so you've been able to see what that is and what we do there. But there was this one piece, and then obviously we became really good friends in the midst of this process. I like the term you use, and it's a good term, like basically like a lieutenant in Married Game, especially for what we got going on next, which is really kind of what we're going to talk about today. But I want to more get your thoughts. You've been on the podcast before with the other guys, and we did kind of I don't want this to really be a testimonial thing, because it's you can probably talk till the cows come home. Dude, we brought you in, and bro, you've helped enroll guys into the program because you believe so deeply in it. So like, you are very enmeshed in what the fuck we've got going on here, and a very big part of it, and a very big part of what's happening next. So based on what I've just said now, what's kind of percolating in your brain and resonating in you that you want to say, and then we can dive into some of this other fun stuff.
What's percolating in my brain and what I feel matters the most is the next step.
Yeah. Because
being a man that came through the game, did the game, then worked with the game.
Yeah.
Then did coaching, sales, consulting, so on and so forth. I always felt like I remember, and we talked about this last night, I remember the 90-day mark. But the 90-day mark to me was like a cliff. It was like, okay, I'm walking this direction. I'm going down this path. Things are going amazing, but there's nothing else here.
Yeah.
Right?
After the 90 days.
After the 90 days. Yeah. And I remember I had this moment that I was sitting at the table with my wife, and she's looking at me.
What day number was this?
We're talking day, this had to have been 120.
Okay, so a month after the 90 days.
Yeah, so 90 days, amazing. We have everything it is that you need. After the 90 days, my wife noticed something was off. And it was because I wasn't following the protocol. And she looks right at me, and I'm sitting at the edge of the table. Like, we have this table in our dining room. I'm sitting at the edge, and she goes, "Are you going to go back through the 90 days?" And I go, "Why?" And she goes, "There's something different. Can't tell what it is. I don't know what it is. Like, I can't put words on it. Something's different." And so I did. I went back through the 90 days, went back through the modules, went back through watching everybody's videos, even though I stayed in the shadows because I was kind of on the working end.
Yeah.
But I went back through it, and it still did not give the consistency or the experience or the power. Even the dials themselves, even though like I felt like I was following them, my wife knew that there was an end. She knew it was 90 days. I was one of the guys that actually chose to tell her after. This is a prior joke to our last episode for anybody who's watching that hasn't done this before.
And if those of you who are not watching.
So I was one of the few guys like that I told my wife.
Yeah.
After I purchased. So I want to make that very clear for everybody that's watching. Like, I made the investment with Keith in the game because I believed in it, but I didn't need permission. It wasn't my jam.
Yeah.
And that gave us a very empowered experience. However, what I did disclose with her was the time frame. I never told her the dials. I told her a few small things that were involved in the program, but she knew it was 90 days. When 90 days were up, she was like, what's next?
Yeah.
Where are you going? And I was like, I thought I'm doing, like one of my last episodes with you, thought I'm doing great.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, man, you can do better. You can be better. You can produce, be a provocateur. You can do all these things on such a different level. How are you going to do it? And I went,
I don't know.
I don't know. I'll go back through the modules. And she's like, not going to work. And then that's where you and I reached out together and started talking about the next couple of steps.
Yeah. It's such a big thing too. And, you know, as the guy who created Married Game, I'm like, hey, this 90-day program will absolutely change your life. And it does. But once you become that changed man after 90 days, you're kind of like, well, what is next? And I'm like, well, I want to make sure that we've got the number for me. It wasn't 250 in my mind, but it ended up being that. It's like, all right, we've had 250 guys come through this 90-day experience with fucking amazing results. But I'm the same way. Like, anytime I join a program and I love it and it gets me results, I'm like, oh, well, okay, dude, I did the white belt thing. What's the next belt?
Right.
And candidly, I had nothing. Literally nothing. I was like, okay, but I'll tell you why. It wasn't just like, we'll get to it. It's like, I had to know, and you're the same way I am. That's probably why we gel so good on this. I had to know that if I was to offer another thing or the next thing, it had to be as good or better than the previous thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to know it would work because the coaching industry has a black eye. You know, it has a bad mark on it. Like, people just, selling shit they don't really know about. And there's all this. And then we've all been a part of masterminds. So you go and you're like, what the fuck's really going on around here? We've all had bad experiences. So those bad experiences made me say, I don't want to create another bad experience. I want to create a fucking cool experience. And what does it really look like? And here's the other thing, though, is we've still got guys coming through the front of the door into the program that I spend time with. And then the next thing that is, that will be like a deep thing, and we'll kind of explain here what that is. It's like, well, that's going to take my time as well. So how do I have the time? Well, I can't be everywhere at once. That's why we're like, hey, Bryce, what's your ideas about this? I got some ideas about this. You've been through the program. You've been like the most diehard, loyal, like, dude to, like, this changed my life. You said it even in the documentary, like, if I didn't do this, we were divorced. I think you even said that at our first episode when we were here.
I've said it multiple times, actually.
Yeah, and
I wouldn't be married without it.
So the gravitas of what this thing is. And it's like, all right, bro, here's what my ideas are. but I wanted your ideas because I didn't go through this program at 90 days and go, what the fuck's next? You did. Mm-hmm. And so you've been able to give me some really deep insight onto, okay, well, what are some of the ideas that you wanted next, and what is it? And it's also this: if you went through the modules again and you just literally lived the way of the provocateur, that's cool. But here's the missing element. And this is what I'm hearing you say, and I'm actually seeing it in other guys, and I've seen it in myself, and it's like this new level of guy, there's like you're paying attention so deeply.
I love the new level of guy terminology. That right there, phenomenal.
It's a part of this new energetic renaissance, bro.
Yes. If the guys can grab on to that new level of guy.
But there's a pursuit of that new level, Bryce, that we get so fucking excited about. And so if you're like, I did the 90 days, and obviously I've got out of the pit, or I've whatever. I'll use an analogy here in a second. But this next level, this new thing, like, okay, I've been wanting to chase this. If a guy's not in the chase or pursuit for something that's the next level of guy for him, that's where that fire starts to dwindle. And your wife's like, whoa, wait a second. I saw you pursue this thing for 90 days. With all your heart. And now, here we are 30 days outside of it, like she probably lacked this yearning for that new level of guy in you, in that department.
In a very transparent moment, and this is to our audience, I'll say this because I am a coach, I am working with you. I made the mistake of the 90-day frame with my wife. And I remember talking to her, and I was like, hey, this is where we are. This is what I'm going to do. And, of course, she did her whole pushback and all the other stuff that we talk about.
Yeah.
And I was like, in 90 days, this is where we're going to reassess. And for me as a husband, that was probably one of the dumbest. Can I cuss on this?
Yeah.
One of the dumbest fucking things I could have ever done, because she was waiting for that 90-day mark. She was following the days, and I do everything to the protocol. I have my dials, I have everything. I go through the days, I have my journals, like you name it, I have it. However, my wife knew there was a 90-day mark. And her biggest concern, which I actually find this with a lot of guys that go through our program, her biggest concern was, hey, you're going to grow so much, I'm afraid you're going to leave me. And no matter what type of reassurance I tried to give her back, it still came back to the same thing. Right? And the only thing I could tell her is, I'm like, look, past 90 days, this is me. I'm still going to be the leader. I'm still going to do this. I'm still going to do this. I'm still going to do this. But for her, the knockoff was the 90 days. That was something that just stuck in her head, like continuously.
Wow. That
she would hit on. And I'm like, okay. So we need to do something past 90 days.
We need to do something past. And it's always been something we wanted to do.
Always.
It's just, there's just a lot of people that put a lot of dog shit on a fucking stick and sell it, and I just was determined I would not be that. But eventually it gets to the point where everyone's like, when I get Voxers or text or messages from the guys that are like, what the fuck is next?
Exactly.
Well, so here's kind of how I look at it, and a frame that you and I have talked a lot about. And it's like, you see these fitness challenges where guys are like, dude, they go from fat and then they lose a bunch of fat, and it's a 90-day transformation challenges are everywhere, right? And they're amazing. But a lot of guys, myself included, after the 90 days of that fat fitness transformation, they kind of pull off the gas a little bit, and they start to go back to a little more comfortable, and then you forward out another 90 days, and they've gained some of it back, and oftentimes if you forward it out another 180, they're all the way back to who they were, and it looks like they did literally nothing. And of course, you hate to see that happen. You hate to be the guy that happens to. And so the way we're looking at Married Game now is Married Game, that first 90 days is like, hey, let's strip this fat off. Let's get you out of the pit onto the path. But dude, there's a peak that is always there. I'm finding out stuff. I was telling you the other day, I just discovered there's a thing called better than sex.
Yeah.
And I had no idea.
We've been talking for the past 48 hours.
I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Okay. Wow. Well, shit, nobody in the Married Game has experienced that. I'm the first one to experience that, to tell you. Well, shit, dude. Here I am, almost 6 years after getting Jesse back, still on a fucking pat and hitting new peak after new peak after new peak. Mm-hmm. And so there's this fire in my eye of that next level of guy that I'm always becoming. And the way I look at it now is, okay, we've stripped the fat off in the first 90 days. Now let's put on some marriage muscle.
Can I add some insight to that?
Yeah, please.
So I spent a majority of my career actually selling fitness challenges.
Yeah.
So I've had 6 or 7 gyms in my lifetime, and that was one of our main business models. Here's why people would rebound.
Tell me.
So you would get them to lose the fat, mm-hmm. which is what we're doing in the 90 days.
Yeah.
Lose the fat. Become the new you. Mm-hmm. However, when the fat comes off and you don't have the muscle to reinforce the metabolism that follows behind it, you instantly gain back those 20, 30 pounds. Speaking in Married Game, we can get you to lose the fat in 90 days.
Yeah.
We get you the new you, but if you don't have the muscle to reinforce it for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, your marriage is not only going to rebound, it's going to rebound and then go right back to what you thought was rock bottom, but worse.
Yeah.
So we need to give you or show you or train you on how to get that Married Game muscle that's going to keep your marriage metabolism up.
Yeah, that's a really great way of looking at it. I like that, dude. When you're packing on that muscle, and it's also an identity too. Oh. There's actually 2 things here. So, when you lose fat and you get in shape, and I've had like razor sharp 6-pack abs like 4 times in my life, right?
We talked about this.
I've got a semi-sharp 4 at this point, but I'm on my fucking move right now, and I'm loving it. But that being said, there's still this inner fat kid. There's still this identity of this story of who I was growing up. And so a lot of guys, they start to become this provocateur. They're starting to see their wife turn, and the next thing you know, they're like, wow. And they forget that they are a product of the process, and they start to think, I don't need the process anymore.
Yes.
And they go, oh, dude, I'm a provocateur. No. A provocateur is a guy that gets his 5 fucking points every day. You don't get to call yourself a provocateur unless you got your 5 points, because you weren't a provocateur that day. And so what happens is they think, oh, I got there. Now I don't need to do anything that got me there. I'm just here now. It's like, no, dude, it's a fucking muddy hill. You're either climbing up a little bit or you're sliding back. Here's the second thing that happens with the wife. She goes, wow, look at this new guy. And then he goes back and she goes, I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it.
I knew it.
You piece of shit. I knew this wasn't going to last. And that happens to guys. And that's literally why most women hold off their affection to wait. Can I really, truly trust this guy is actually going to do this for the long haul? So that's why we're doing this, and I'm fucking excited about it. Here's the other thing that I think that you suggested that I think is great, and people have been asking for a while, is how do we get the wives involved?
Ooh.
How do we get the fucking wives involved? Because now if a guy goes through this transformation for 90 days, his wife looks and go, okay, this is a different dude.
You're going to get me down a path on this one.
Okay, we don't have to, we can go wherever we want, but I'm just saying is, dude, she watches this guy change, and a lot of women are like, okay, where's the fucking female version of this?
Right.
And Jessie has the fucking code. Jessie's badass, and she understands how to support me. She knows how to push back on me. She knows how to share things with me in a way that most men, our egos get flared up. So she knows how to fucking bypass the ego to actually insert the information where I can go, how did I not see that? Well, because you're an ego-driven fucking maniac like every other guy I know. So here's why. So like, there's all these things on what does it mean to really be a supportive wife. And we can do some stuff together so that the husband is like, this is my wife. And then also, so wives of the fucking provocateurs can be like, hey, I got a great husband too. Let's compare notes. So we're going to kind of see how we can mix and blend that into there too. But you and your wife have really been about that.
My experience with my wife has been a very unique one. In the sense that...
Did she just text or something?
Oh, no. I was just...
You're like, the experience I had with my... Oh, in fact, she just fucking called. What's up, Norway?
Actually, she did call a couple of times, but she knows I'm on the podcast.
That's hilarious.
So my experience with my wife has been very, very unique. Because during this process of becoming my best self... I have become a better provider, better parent, better partner. I've remained in my power, and I've been the producer that my family needs. Mm-hmm. And so when I check off all these dials, well, not check off, that's kind of like a bad way to put it, but when I really dive into all these dials, and my wife has taken the standpoint of, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom, which is what she did partway through our program.
Okay.
And so I don't know how many other guys that are watching this that have had this experience, but as I became my best self, she lost her identity of who she was as a producer for herself, which is one of her dials.
Yeah.
And so her main concern was always, I'm afraid. And I'm like, what are you afraid of? She's like, I'm afraid you're going to leave. I'm afraid you're growing too much. I'm afraid that your growth is too far ahead of mine. And I would tell her all the time, I would say, hey, I don't care how much you're growing. As long as you're moving forward.
Yeah.
I get that growth takes a couple of steps back. I understand.
Yeah.
But speaking to our point, the wives, they're scared too. They need a sense of feeling of moving ahead with us.
Yeah. Well, everybody loves that feeling of progress.
Right.
Yeah.
But progress together?
Yeah. Oh, it's powerful, dude. Oh. So we're gonna kind of open up that a little bit. That's gonna be exciting. Dude, I just think that as humans, we love the next thing so much anyway. Like, it's just, if you ever have accomplished, if anybody's ever accomplished a goal, or they've gotten a physical material thing that they've worked really hard for, that feeling of accomplishment or that feeling of getting that material thing lasts an incredibly short amount of time. To where almost every human reaction is, okay, what's next? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All right, what's next?
Right.
Well, okay, we did that. Okay, we did that. And it's this continual path of growth. And that's what it is. It's going to be, so this is what it's going to be. And for those of you guys listening, you're like, well, this is kind of a detailed breakdown of this. You're right. That's what it is.
It is.
And frankly, for those of you guys who have not joined the Married Game program, some guys don't join it because they think that, oh, my sex isn't that bad or my marriage isn't that bad. And they don't realize that people don't just come in the pit. There's a lot of guys that come in the past and say, hey, I want my marriage from good to great. And actually, those are the guys that start to see some really fucking very quick shifts because they're already good, but they're wanting that next level. And they're like, okay, well, what does that look like? We're like, well, and then we assess them. We're like, well, you're not doing this, this, or this. You're like, oh, shit. I didn't even think about that. Like, that is super fucking easy, right? Yeah, that is super fucking easy. But there's this progressive thing where it's like, well, shit, Jesse and I aren't perfect. So I'm going to be on this fucking planned progress. It's really planned learning is what I thought. Is what I'm like, okay.
Ooh, I like that.
This is most
Planned
guys,
learning.
but they do it. There's always a path of planned learning in like high up corporations. Mm-hmm. Because something that corporations, I think, understand is the more valuable the people are, the more valuable the company is. Because they can produce more. They can create more of they basically can take the ethos of that company and now go imbue it into the world through human beings. That's really what a fucking movement is, right? Mm-hmm. So you take that, and the corporate we need this guy trained on this. Well, let's train him up by the best. Okay, after you've learned that, now we need to make sure you learn this. And then after you learn that, we need to make sure you learn this. And after you learn that, we make sure you learn this. So there's this planned path of progress.
It's the playbook.
It's the playbook.
It's the playbook.
It's the fucking playbook.
It's the fucking playbook.
And it's like, okay, well, yeah, your progress in 90 days is going to be unsurmountable with anything that you've done on your own. But now imagine being with a bunch of dudes for the next 2-3 years at the gym every day, just packing on marriage muscle. And every single month, we're going to hit a dial in such a deep way that you're actually tracking and recording that particular dial, and almost like so that when you come out of it, 2 or 3, I look at it like martial arts, and I love that you're a martial artist. You're like, what, 5th degree in karate, and this in jiu-jitsu, and that and the other thing. And
got a bunch of shit.
Bunch of fucking belts. And it's like, most guys are white belts in their wife. Most guys are white belts in their marriage. And most guys think that it's their right to have sex with their woman rather than realizing it. Out in the fucking real world, like with lions and cheetahs and hyenas, it's not a right. It's a fucking privilege to be able to mate. Only the top actually fucking mate and reproduce. So that way the species is strong. That way there's no 600 fucking pounders eating Slurpees and fucking Twinkies down at the fucking gas station. That doesn't happen in the natural world. You don't see fucking fat cheetahs. Doesn't happen.
Right.
So this planned path of progress is like, okay, bro, let's dial this in. It's more accountability. It's more metricized. It's more fucking granular.
Love
this to where you walk, and who the fuck else would you want to be around? That was the other thing I got to tell you this. Being around dudes that invest in their marriage and becoming the new level of guy because that's who they are, that's a rare breed. That's a rare breed, man. Right. Any small niche thing. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's a rare breed.
Yeah.
There's 1 in 100 guys maybe does it. I would love to see what that fact is. 1 in 100 guys knows martial arts. 1 in 100 guys does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. 1 in 100 guys is a fucking dead-on marksman. Like there's like the things that we like as men, like 1 or 2 or 3 of 100 guys actually is those things.
Right.
Well, what if you were in a spot where that 1 or 2 or 3 out of 100, they all hung out? How fucking great would those guys be? And to go, oh yeah, you invested, you took your family on a vacation and spent $12,000 to make sure that you guys have the most kick-ass memory? Yeah, only 1 in 100 guys would do that. You're my fucking type. It doesn't have to be $12,000. It can just be you went and spent the weekend with your family and you went and did a staycation. You're my type. So most guys don't do that.
We both do these calls, these entry calls.
Yeah.
And there's one super common theme that I hear from the men that get on the calls. Mm-hmm. And I shit you not, I've been on calls with guys.
Broke my knuckle. Go ahead.
That I'm like, hey man, what's that sound? And they're like, that's my wife packing her bags and she's leaving. And I was like, right now? And they're like, yeah. And I've literally had this call, I can say 5 times now.
Yeah.
Where they're like, my wife is packing her bag and she's leaving. And I can hear her walking out the door.
Yeah.
She's not saying anything, but he is absent. And when I start talking to these guys and I start digging and understanding, they all say the same thing. No one ever taught me how to be a man. There was never a manual. And this comes from many aspects. My dad was absent. My dad did this. I was raised with this many sisters, which was my case. Like I had 3 sisters. My dad passed away when I was 12 years old, so I didn't learn the things that I was supposed to learn about being a man.
Yeah.
And so hearing that from all of these guys, call after call, they're like, Bryce, I just don't know how to be a man. And I'm like, man, I commend you for saying that out loud. And I respect that, because that takes courage.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of dude can really say that?
Yeah.
A dude who's in pain, a dude who wants a plan, a dude who wants where we're going. And so after I listened to those guys...
The pain, the plan, the path, and the pack.
Yes. Yes.
Fucking wolf pack. I love it.
And well, we got fucking...
The coyote
and all
pack.
kinds of shit. But they all have the common theme. They never learned.
Yeah.
There was never a blueprint. There was never a manual. Just like being a parent.
Yeah.
We never got a fucking manual for this.
Yeah.
And as a parent, we're literally fucking up our kids every single day, right?
Yeah. In
but
major ways.
Nobody sees this in marriage.
Yeah.
We're literally, as a man,
Yeah.
we are literally fucking up our marriages every single day if we don't have the protocol.
Yeah.
It's the protocol.
Yeah. Dude, it's so true. And dude, we hear it on the calls, because you and I will do the calls, and a guy will like, obviously this, and I'm like, oh shit, that's not obvious to us anymore. That's obvious to a blind man.
Right.
There's not, well, obviously she, this is the one, and I won't rant on it because I just ran on it last week. Like, obviously I need to talk I need to talk to my wife about this. And I'm like, obviously to who? What? Oh yeah, obviously you need to go down to a nail salon and talk with all the girls about it. Like, I'm being fucking ultra cheeky about it, obviously. But there's words that they say, and you're like, oh, he doesn't get it. Fuck, this is the guy that needs it. I'm not just I need to go check with my wife, but there's a lot of things that they say.
Can I talk about the price on here?
Yeah, you can talk about anything we want here.
Okay. So you and I got on a call after Utah.
Yeah.
You told me the price. And I'm sitting there on the phone. And I go, I'll pay it. Right now, I'm in. And then I didn't tell my wife for a little while. Then she finally asked me, this may have been 30 days into the program, 30 days. She goes, how much did you pay? And I go, well, first payment was $4,000. And she goes, what? And I go, yeah. Second payment's going to be another $4,000. And I had no expectations for a response, no nothing. She comes back to me about 20, 30 days later. And she goes, I'm so glad you didn't ask me for permission to spend that money. Like, I can't tell you how much that I trust you, that I see what you've done. She was like, if you would have asked me, I would have told you, fuck no.
Yeah.
Like right off the get-go.
Yeah.
And she was like, if you would have insisted, we probably would have been in separate houses. And I was like, that's why I didn't. And this might sound like an asshole-ish content or a comment, but I didn't ask for forgiveness or permission. I did what I thought it was necessary and made it happen, then followed through with the work. And when it came down to it, we were halfway through the program. She was like, and that's where the documentary comes in hand.
Yeah.
Where she talks about, I couldn't wrap my head around him spending money for another guy that's going to teach him about marriage. That's when we did that, right?
Yeah.
It was so beautiful how it all unfolded.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the reasons why the women will say no or they want to get mad is because the guy has not built trust with them.
Yeah.
Because he's joined the fat camp that he never got skinny at. He joined the fucking jujitsu class that he's still the geese hanging in the closet. He's fucking he's going to run this business, and he's got half of his garage full of shit that he bought that he was supposed to resell, and it was fucking too hard to sell. It's just someone else's problem. And so she's like, oh yeah, okay, this is what we're having. You know what I also, so there's no trust there. You know what else is interesting? A lot of companies, coaching companies, sales companies, those types of things, they don't want to like tell their tricks to the public, you know what I mean? And I always just said, I just think that's stupid, because here's what I mean by that. They're like, don't tell the price. Why? They're going to eventually have to fucking pay it. I want them to know, you're coming to here, you're probably going to pay anywhere between $3,000 and $10,000 to fucking actually solve this problem. Right. If a guy doesn't look at solving his actual problem in marriage worth $3,000 to $10,000, he's not my guy. But here's the thing. So if a guy came up and said, hey, you could solve your marriage and have unlimited sex and BJs for the rest of your fucking life. It's going to cost you $10,000, and you're going to have to do work for it. And he goes, oh, fuck, I would never do that. I'd be like, thank you for telling me that. Mm-hmm. Don't ever fucking come around me, because your mediocrity might just touch me, and I don't want it.
Ooh.
Your fucking So here's what I'm saying. There's a point. The reason I'm saying this is most guys think they're going to get on someone and trick them into something. I would rather somebody come in and full knowledge go, these guys are the most expensive. They're the fucking best, and I am 100% going to be a different man after I leave here. And you know what it takes to do that? It takes being honest on the phone. Mm-hmm. And the only difference between that guy and you and I and what we're experiencing in our life is one thing. We think different. So why the fuck would I not be talking about the thinking process of getting to where you want to go, as opposed to like, oh, you just don't think the way I think? Well, okay, well, are you willing to have a conversation? Let me ask you a question. I know you say you don't want to spend $10,000 to save your marriage and to create the greatest intimacy you've ever done. For some reason, how has that mentality worked out for you right now? Because you're the guy calling me. Like, it's so fucking obvious and so dumb that it becomes like not obvious and dumb anymore.
I just had a really good idea.
Tell me.
This might not belong on our podcast, but if we can put on our intake manual, because you know how, like the guy I talked to yesterday, I have access to financials, I'm willing to invest. I got into the call, and he was like, bro, I can't even do $200.
Yeah.
If we could put into our intake manual, do you have access? How much would your divorce cost?
Oh, yeah. That's a good comparison. But let me ask you a question on that. But did you want to keep going on that?
No. I just wanted to say that out loud because it like really popped into my mind. Like, if we could get them to compare the two, like the investment versus what it would cost. That might actually do a good job for our qualifying leads. Sorry for whoever's editing this, but
don't be sorry. We're leaving it in. We're not editing that.
Okay, cool.
I don't have any secrets from anybody on that fucking camera.
Awesome.
That's why people love me and hate me. You know what I mean? I talk about, here's the structure of my marriage and here's how I work it. People fucking love me. People fucking hate me. Don't care.
I talked to the dude yesterday, and I'm like, look, man, this is our program. This is what it costs. This is what we do, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And he went through the whole spiel, like, I can't do this, I can't do that. And I go, okay, how much is a divorce going to cost you? And he just like, you could tell his jaw hits the table.
Yeah.
And he was like, it would cost me everything.
Yeah.
Like, and he said it like that.
Yeah.
And my heart just drops as I'm talking to him. And I'm like, dude, if you just invest a couple of $1,000 into fixing this, it would not cost you everything.
Exactly. But okay, so here's something, you made me think about something too, and it's this. You know, when we on the last podcast, I'm like, I got to get better about my marketing and letting people fucking know. Well, how do I do it? By telling them, by just saying, here's what we believe. Here's what we don't believe. People that won't invest in their marriage, to me, are fucking stupid.
I agree.
But that's not something I'm going to say in a sales meeting. Don't tell them that. No, if you won't invest in your marriage, you're fucking stupid. You know why? Because I got 100 times better marriage than you, and I invest in it every single fucking week. Time, money, and energy. That's why I got a marriage 100 times better than you. That's not to brag, but that's to say, learn the fucking clues of success. Well, everybody has got a successful marriage. How do you get that? Well, they all have a coach. No, that's not for me. Okay, well, you're the dum-dum then. Here's the other thing. We should herald and hold up our ideals as this is what the ideal man fucking does. He invests in himself, not because I'm a coaching company and I think you need to invest in me. You might not like me, and I'm fucking cool with that. But it's not about what you see that it will actually fucking kill you. It's about what you don't see that will fucking kill you. What do they say? The greatest punch is the one you don't see coming.
The one you don't see.
The one you don't see. So having a set of eyes or multiple sets of eyes looking at you and going, hey, are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? Like the comedian that talked about the cum on your shoulder. You
had to bring that.
Of course. But hey, shout out to Matt Rife. Hey,
Matt Rife.
Fucking, we got to get him in the man cave for man cave comedy. He's at the Ascend.
Fucking hilarious.
Okay, but here's the thing: is why don't we hold up the ideas like, oh no, there's not many ways to do this. There's fucking one way. You find somebody who's actually got what you want, and you are willing to do whatever the fuck it takes to learn from them so that you can get what they want. Why are not more people yelling into fucking microphones saying this? Because here's what I believe. A lot of guys say, hey, this is what we believe, and we got to meet them where they're at. Cool, we're going to meet you where you're at. But I would love for you to have a lot of fucking progress from where you're at right now to when the fuck you get on the phone with us by listening with your ears to what the fuck we're saying. Because that's where growth comes from. They go, that's a new set of information I didn't know. Everybody I know, every single person, not most, not fucking 99%, every fucking guy I know that is winning at anything in his life has a coach to help him or an outside set of eyes looking in. I've not met one person that doesn't have it.
Just so you guys know, our actual morning or past couple of days together have been centered around a couple of things. Bonding, marriage, coaching. There's been one very outstanding spoken thing. Keith has told me many times, I have an appointment with the wizard. It's at this time. I can't sacrifice this. This is a part of my deal. And so, like, I'm telling you guys, as somebody who is coached by Keith, that Keith is coached by somebody too. Mm-hmm. And I've been a witness to this many, many times, but this time really stood out to me because, like, I kind of came out here kind of off the cuff, just in the middle of the week. Mm-hmm. But you were like, hey, man, we're going to do this. We're going to have fun. We're going to do this. We're going to go eat fucking 27 tacos. It's going to be amazing. Ride e-bikes. But I will not sacrifice this time for my coach for my marriage.
And even my coach yesterday.
Right.
My fitness coach. I'm like, hey, this is fucking high, holy ground for me.
Right. But that's that elevated level of coaching.
Yeah. Yeah, so I live this, guys. That's why I speak so passionately about it. And hey, remember I was talking about the marketing needs to be a filter?
Yeah.
This was the fucking filter.
Good.
But I need to keep talking like this and be like, oh, like let's make fucking investing in something that's important to you great again.
Ooh.
Hey, don't be a nerd. Spread the word. Don't be an ass. Put your foot on the gas and share it with everyone else. Don't be a butthole. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. All right. Hey, Bryce, always a pleasure to have you on, bro. Always a pleasure. We got some great shit.
The last one was one of the most shared.
Which one?
The last one I popped up on that I was here with the hat. That was one of the most shared on Instagram. So
oh yeah.
I hope we can beat it this time.
Let's fucking beat it. Hey, which means we're coming to our thing pretty soon, and that is just, I meant to do these announcements beforehand. I got so excited, I jumped on and forgot. But if you like this, please share it. Share it with somebody that you think would actually benefit from it. And what's that?
Review it.
Review it?
Yeah, give us reviews.
Oh yeah, I never fucking ask for that. I'm glad. Yeah, dude. Hey, if you whatever podcast platform you're on, if you could go give us a 5-star review, if you think it's good, if you think it's 1 star, fucking 1 star. We're cool with all truth. If you think this is dog shit, and you've got an amazing marriage, you've never had a coach, and you never have anybody look at you or everything, I'd love to fucking have you on the podcast. I'd like to find out what you're doing. All right.
Yeah, review it for sure.
That's it. Hey, keep crushing it. That shit's contagious.
I'm making his dog like I'm in a big league. Yeah, I told him